at ClassLink, we do single sign-on and rostering into EdTech tools for seamless access by students and teachers. And we like to highlight those resources from our trusted partners on our ClassLink Partner Spotlight. Welcome, this is Jamie from the ClassLink Academy, and we have a Partner Spotlight for you today on a solution called digiCOACH. And I'm telling you, this is something that I would have loved when I was a technology integration specialist and consultant in districts, and I'm looking forward to hearing all about it today. And we have to share all about it two of their finest, Brandon Mahorter, the Director of Innovation, and Kathleen Beckham, the Director of Curriculum and Research. Welcome to the two of you.
Thank you so much.
All right, so they are going to first share a little bit about why feedback is so important, and then get into how digiCOACH works, share some success stories, and then we'll round it out with a little bit about our partnership between digiCOACH and ClassLink. All right, so who's going to kick it off first?
I will. I'd like to tell you about why I love digiCOACH. As a former user and a supervisor, I believed in walkthroughs. I believed in being out in the classrooms. I don't know how you lead if you don't know what's actually going on. That's where the magic happens. So I had tried it myself to get out, and then at the end of the day to give the feedback, even if it was a 10-minute walkthrough. I wanted to give immediate feedback. That's what we want the teachers to do. So I wanted to do the exact same thing because feedback is very important. And so I would sit down, and it would take me at least 20 minutes to craft a decent email with kudos and coaching tips and what I had seen. And I thought, wow, I've got to find something a little bit more time efficient. So then we tried a Google Sheet. Everybody was doing a Google Sheet. So I thought, okay, well, we set one up. We did a number of walkthroughs. We had some good data. And so I sat down with the team and I said, well, you disaggregate by A, B, C. And they all went, we think you should do that. And I went, I just created another job for myself. And I didn't have time to do all of that disaggregation. And so I'm not sure if digiCOACH found me or I found them, but it was a match. And I was so excited because I had a good way to communicate with the teachers. I collected data. I had reports available instantly. They did everything for me. And I had the ability then to manage everything in one place. And we started talking about things. Teachers started talking about strategies and what was working, because I shared reports with them, asked them some questions to get back to me. So then in our precious time together, we weren't talking about, should we sell donuts in the student store? We were talking about strategies, what was working with the kids, who was doing what. And the teachers began to work together and talk about their data. And so it just really was like a rocket ship for us. Our ADA went up, our things went down as far as discipline issues. We were out on campus more. Teachers talked together. Our scores went up. It just really made a huge difference to give us a tool that really helped us on our missions, all of us. And so it was very positive, and I was a fan then, and I'm a bigger fan now because I see what it has done for districts and for teachers and administrators.
That is amazing. I mean, it's all about communication. And when you don't have that streamlined way of being able to get everyone on the same page, you do have operations and even down to instruction that just kind of falls apart. So this just seems like this super efficient, streamlined way to get that feedback to the folks who need it. And that way you can innovate much better and much more quickly instead of being bogged down in the data that you don't have to. It's almost like you dreamt it up and then they made it.
Well, the data also, it really helped us know exactly what we were doing well, what we needed to work on. And that was our driving force for PD, rather than people trying to choose something they would attend and then, pay their bills on their phone while they were listening because they didn't really care. Or we could provide PD that was shown to be needed for the vast majority of people. So it was it just kind of gave us information all in one place, and it could guide our journey and our what's next.
I just love it. I just love it. I know that when my husband first became a superintendent, that was what he was up till 1 o'clock in the morning trying to do these observations and write up all of these things. And so instead, if he had something like this, it would have made it much more efficient and he would have enjoyed it more because it quite frankly wasn't enjoyable when it was this arduous task. So this,
And I love the walkthroughs and the
yeah,
observation of seeing what was going on. I love that part. It was all the other that was so
exactly.
time-consuming. Yeah.
All the stuff afterward. And this way you can enjoy your walkthroughs much better because it's a simple, clean way of doing that. And I think you're going to show us a little bit more about that. So that way you can enjoy being in there with the kids, but then also have a great way to give that feedback thereafter without it taking so much time. I
Definitely,
like it.
when we've from day one when we built digicoach, we wanted to make something that was designed to like enhance what school
Mhm.
leaders are already doing, not be an extra step.
Yes.
I come from more the IT side of things and my work, before joining the digicoach team way back in 2012. But I'm the son of an educator. My mom was a assistant principal for 19 years and
Mhm.
a special ed teacher before that. So I like to jokingly say I've probably been in more IEP meetings than most techs you've met, even though I was just in the corner doing homework as a kid. But like I saw firsthand, how busy administrators were. And so we didn't want to be something extra you have to do. So we've kept it
Yes.
simple. We help customize, we bring your tools into digicoach to help support that walkthrough. More importantly, to help support the coaching aspect of digicoach. It's great we're in room, but so what? What do we tell our teachers? How do we provide them some support? And then as Kathy was sharing, that data makes its way into our report. So you've got data to support those conversations right away. To keep
Mm.
it simple today and keep it quick, I just kind of brought some main slides of the presentation or into our presentation here rather. So on the left there is the main walkthrough tool. We customize
Okay.
it. We bring in your look fors. I'm in classrooms with
Yeah.
digicoach on my phone or my tablet, my computer, whatever. But if you got it on your phone, it makes it easy to pop in when you have some time. And I'm tapping once or twice if I saw something in place like task or interaction there. I then jump over to my feedback tool and emails ready to go, in this case to Sean Wilkins. And down below, I've used some of our pre-written strategies and coaching tips that digicoach provides that are aligned to our look fors. So on the left, I marked relevance observed. So here on my phone, I selected this strategy from a library. That one happens to be a reflective question format. Where and why did you insert opportunities for students to reflect? Or down below that, when you had the students write a summary of their notes, you caused the students to organize it for personal meaning. So I don't have to come up with all those strategies from scratch. We
Yeah.
can pull that from a library. And what's really cool is as I use those tips, digicoach is able to quantify that. To the right here, this is my library of coaching tips. And these twos, threes, fours, and fives, that's telling me that that teacher's received those tips before.
Okay.
So if there's something that I've shared in the past, I'm going to see that. And what's really cool is it's collectively reported.
Yeah.
So if you came into one of my classrooms and it was the first time you were supporting Sean with digicoach, you would know what type of feedback's been shared with him before. And so if you shared a suggestion, like down here, I've got a coaching tip, have students engage in a think, pair, share strategy to support each other. If that coaching tip's been shared a few times, you're going to know that. And it might help cue in some deeper conversations that, might be needed. So we keep track of that coaching. We, of course, are keeping track of what's happening on our checklist screen as well. And all that data is making its way to our cloud reports, where we've got a dozen different reports for you to run, slice and dice that data from school-wide or district-wide down to an individual walkthrough. And of course, anywhere in between with that process. So that's kind of the main digicoach walkthrough process there in a nutshell. The tool is totally customizable. So whatever
Okay.
you are focused on at your school or at your district, we help bring that to digicoach. This here is our classroom instruction edition, one of our pre-built tools. But again, if you're not looking for engagement, maybe you're focused on lesson design. We can drop those practices in there. If you want to see success criteria communicated and learning targets on the board, those things can be added. Ultimately, what we want to do is help provide a menu, if you will. This is what we're focused on as an organization. Let's share this with teachers. Let's bring this into our conversation and really unpack what we're looking for here. And the really nice thing is, as an observer, I don't have to focus on all 20 look fors or however many, look fors I have in my tool. I can go in with a coaching cycle focus and say, what, for this month, I'm just looking for checking for understanding. And I can leave the other pieces, we call it skipped. Basically, they're
Okay.
omitted from my data.
Okay.
So that's a really nice way to, tie in what you're working on, communicate it, and have that all bundled into one place for you within digicoach.
And it's nice to be able to, as an observer, as a supervisor, to be able to hone in on something specific. And it's also helpful to the teacher as well. So they're not kind of all over the place with suggestions and feedback, but
Mhm.
instead something targeted. And I love the fact that it's customizable. And I also love the fact that you as me as a coach or a supervisor can go in and actually see what has already been suggested, so that way there can be that continuous follow up,
Definitely.
if it needs to be, or praise if they're doing it well. So that's great.
Really liked them. What I really liked the most about it was is that I was in control of the feedback.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And regardless of what I marked on the observation screen, I could choose the pre-slugged coaching tips and strategies, but I also always gave my own observations.
Sure,
And Brandon
sure.
will show you that with speech to text, but that's
Oh,
what I liked. I was in control, but I had all this stuff at my fingertips, and that was so helpful.
yeah, the templated packaged library, you have to have that starting point in order for things to kind of, springboard from there. So, and then you can customize and innovate. But those
And
basics,
that library too of those strategies and coach tips are also customizable. So we help when
yes.
our partners are customizing digiCOACH because we've got a library of those tips, like 4 or 5,000 statements right now. It's been a little while since I counted. I know we're over 4,000. And what's really cool is they provide sentence starters, if you will. They
Yeah.
provide strategies for folks that maybe are not experts in a certain area. For example,
Mm,
Kathy was an Avid district director. And so if you were in classrooms and you wanted to provide feedback on Avid strategies, using a Socratic seminar, even if you've never done one, you could pull up a pre-written tip by somebody who has, or somebody that's an expert in that
right.
curriculum or that program or that, subject area, and drop in some feedback, even though you may not be the expert in that area yourself.
Perfect. Perfect. Oh my gosh. What time saver. And
Definitely.
again, and it gets you to that point where you can flourish and innovate and move beyond some of the things that kind of, keep you from progressing. So I love it.
Definitely. We really, really want to bring in, that focus to a district. And we've got lots of different ways that we do that we've, developed over the last decade plus here of doing this. For example, these examples in the app are oftentimes written by principals or school leaders at a site so that they see their
Mm,
own, ideas and thoughts
right.
reflected in the walkthrough tool.
Right.
More strategies and coaching tips from that library can be added at any time as well. So if you're in classrooms and you're like, I keep typing this in myself and I wish it was part of my data, great. We add it so it's part of the data. We can keep track of that as well. So it grows, it evolves over time. It's something that one of our partners here, Romoland School District, has done really well in their 9 years of using digiCOACH. They are an early customer of ours. Like I said, we started this in 2012. They've been doing this for 9 years. Every year, they kind of reflect on what's a priority. Sometimes look for's fall off. If things are in place, great. If there's new activities or new focus that's needed, we bring those look fors in. And they really set up a core coaching cycle focus. I'll share their addition in a second. But essentially, they go out hundreds of times a year. Some of the principals in Roboland are in classrooms over 400 times in a single school
Easy.
year, which is amazing. I mean, like
Yeah.
that's a lot of time in classrooms. And when I've checked in with those folks and said, how? How are you getting that many sessions? Like, I just got it on my phone. Like, there's a convenience factor there. I pop in coming out of lunch
Yeah.
duty, like they just had that dedication to get in and provide that feedback. So, that's not just 400 times in classrooms, that's 400 coaching conversations with teachers. So
That's so wonderful. That
they
really,
are in and out of the top 3 school districts out of 23 districts within their county over the years there. So really one of the top performing districts in Riverside here in Southern California. Here's their current edition. So it's a little bit
okay.
different from our classroom one. Some overlap, like learning environment is similar to our classroom tool. The items that are kind of starred with a little diamond there, like comprehension, excuse me, learning outcomes, universal access, those are UDL strategies. So this year, that was a new priority for them. They wanted to bring UDL in. So they looked at the 9 principles, did a crosswalk, and highlighted those things that they're focused on through that. And this is shared with teachers, right? So teachers get this as their menu. So it's the district's priorities, whether it's Avid on that far right, UDL practices, or other just good high yield instructional practices. It's providing that clarity to administrators of what they're looking for, and it's providing clarity to teachers that This is our menu of focus throughout the school year. You can see up at the top above the focus areas, there's a little date window there. So August 14th through September 12th, everybody was going in with learning environment as their focus. That's the main set of look fors that were being scored. And they actually shuffle these around. So currently, if you were to start up a walkthrough here in January, literacy across content areas is the first column that they see in their app. So we kind of do a little digi shuffle, we call it, and put their priorities first so that administrators can pop in. They're going to see what the district focus is. And that focus was collectively established between all the principals and district team. And then that focus is communicated to teachers during their staff newsletters or during, admin meetings, things like that. But teachers know that, hey, we've shifted gears. Literacy across content is our focus. So it's not a surprise if they're getting feedback on that. And at the end of that coaching cycle, principals dive into that data. They say, okay, during January and February, what did we see in our classrooms for literacy across content areas? And that's brought back to teachers. And that's like Kathy shared at the top of the call. That was something they did in their district and in her work of let's get this data back in front of our folks so that we can have some more meaningful conversations collectively, moving beyond just that, one-on-one feedback. So Kathy's old district, 10 high schools, they did 7,000 some odd walkthroughs in a single year. Like we have places that are really in classrooms a lot with the tool, get out there, a lot of great data collected, and more importantly, a lot of feedback shared with our teachers.
I mean, between a district's mission vision, whether they are focusing on, as you mentioned, like UDL or Portrait of a Graduate or literacy or PBL, this can be customized. And so it can be targeted. So that way they know exactly across the board what is expected, what the expectations are, and then what they're going to be, what the look fors are going to be. And I also, you have so many, I think, because of the efficiency and the seamlessness and the ease of use, they get so many of these walkthroughs in, and it just, when you are out in classrooms as a leader, it makes all the difference in the world. And a lot of leaders procrastinate because this can be such a hard task. It's one more thing for them. But with this, instead, with this solution, I mean, I'd be excited to get up and get into a classroom if I had something at my fingertips that made it so simple. And it elevates the joy in going into classrooms and takes away some of that arduous, negativity. Sure. And so
I always showed about, I wanted to be a partner in learning and helping. That's what I wanted to do. Right. And it took away that the first, couple of times you go in the classroom, it was always like, ooh, you're in trouble, and then all of a sudden I was just another piece of the furniture, within the time. And then talk about greater relationships out in the quad or someplace else. It was like, hey, how's it going? I mean, you became a part of the school instead of someone to be feared or, just not really known.
Patty, that's such a great point. That really is, because that's you miss the classroom when you go into leadership. And so this way, everyone is collaborating together instead of you dictating to them what they should and shouldn't be doing. It's a collaborative effort. It
eliminates that us versus them. I thought it did a lot.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. Love that so much. Terrific.
But a segue on collaborative, we as the digiCOACH team, we do our best to collaborate and help our partners when they're building out their editions. You rattled off a few things there a moment ago, whether it's, project-based learning or, graduate profiles, things like that. If you said, Brandon, what do you have about that? It'd take me 2 seconds. I know where I've got those things. I've put in my 10,000 hours of building these editions with folks. So oftentimes we can provide look fors or language that other districts have used that's already been vetted, that already reads well and is student focused and
research based. Don't forget that.
And research based. Yeah. So we help with that partnership process there to try to make building this menu out as easy as we can. And of course, we help with all the rostering and all the other things, to kind of transition onto the other tech side of stuff. So Jamie, I'll let you kind of talk to this here, and I'll share some other cool things we do with digiCOACH and ClassLink through our partnership.
Well, that's great, because that's part of this opportunity to make it seamless. You need to have that easy access. And first, it starts with rostering, getting the teachers rostered in there so that everyone is part of the program. But when you're sharing CSV files like this primitive image, it's not secure, and it's not efficient. Any updates have to be sent, more CSV files sent. But Instead, when the roster server is in play, then it connects seamlessly to the student information system. All of the data from there is placed into the one roster format. And then that way, the tech people can decide what data should go to which vendor, and you get that data in a nice secure package of all of the teacher data, so that way everything can be in place as you need. And then everyone gets that easy access once they log into ClassLink with the SSO component. They just click on Launchpad and they get right into digiCOACH. So whether it's on their phone or their iPad, or if they have a laptop with them, so that way they don't have to remember passwords. The district leadership can just get right in and get to the fun walkthroughs that they need to. So have you noticed a difference either on your tech team side or even with your partner districts?
Yeah, with our partner districts, it really takes it takes a step away from our school leaders, because they can say, Brandon, please connect with so and so, at our district here on the RT team who's in charge of ClassLink. And I can say, give me every school, give me every teacher and every administrator, and we roster that for you so that it's done, right? Like we don't have to request that CSV file or check back in 2 months and ask for another file.
It's
and then
automatically updated.
It's updated, yeah. The only people that log into digiCOACH for the most part are going to be like your principals, your academic coaches, or your district team members. We do have support for teachers to use it as well, but most of our partners, it's the administration and coaching teams that are using it. But life's easy for them, right? Like they open up their Launchpad after it's been added. So digiCOACH pops up as a new icon there. They click that, they're signed in. They don't have to worry about creating a new password or any of that extra headache there. So,
and it's often a question they ask us during our presentations, do you partner with ClassLink? And we'll say yes. And that's like you can watch them go, oh.
Exactly. I mean, it eliminates like 20 questions that they have to continue to ask you as well. Once that answer is there, you can just move on, because
they don't have to think about, sending something, getting somebody to do this. How would you fill out this spreadsheet? Finding somebody to add more time to their work for this. That's when you ask them and they go, yes, we partner. And they were like, oh, good.
Yes, exactly. Good. We're so happy to hear that.
And time is money. So that time that we all save, we're translating into a special offer here for any of our ClassLink partners that want to sign up for digiCOACH. So if you visit that URL, digicoach.com/classlinkoffer.html, if you go there and contact us, or just reach out through our website and tell us, that you learned about us through this podcast, this partner showcase, we will give you $1,000 off for each campus. So if you're a small district with 10 campuses, there's some significant savings there.
That's a big deal. Wow.
It is a big chunk too. And, digiCOACH really isn't too expensive. We are pretty affordable and priced to the size of your campus. So, $1,000 off there is a pretty sizable discount on your license there for sure. So please reach out. We will still include training, onboarding, customization. We want to make sure that you have what you need and that you are comfortable using the tool. After folks get up and running with digiCOACH, they start using it. We meet again. I mentioned Romoland. They're year 9. We are still back in those admin meetings with principals. And we meet with the district leaders. They kind of help share what their priorities are so that we can show the right data, show the right reports, and get principals back in. And it just helps communicate to everybody that these walkthroughs and diving into this data is a priority. So those data reviews are an important piece, whether you're doing them with us or without. We encourage folks to bring us into that conversation so we can help share our expertise with it. After you're up and running with digiCOACH, we like to think of ourselves like a workout buddy. We keep checking in throughout the school year to help you get your steps in. Oftentimes we have like solo principals who find us, sign up to digiCOACH, and they might be the only person at their campus doing walkthroughs. Much like signing up for a gym, if you don't have a buddy to go to the gym with, that motivation isn't always there. So we try to be that gym buddy and help you get into, your walkthroughs there. So please feel free to, reach out to us with any questions. We certainly want to help support you guys. And this offer here runs through the rest of this school year. So let us know if we can help on that.
Lucky. That's a great deal. That's really exciting. I'm happy that you're able to share that. Brandon and Kathy, thank you so much for sharing this. Like I said, I used to be an instructional strategies consultant and ed tech integration specialist going into districts. And if I were able to, if the district leaders were able to share what they've already been doing and the feedback they've been providing, again, like you mentioned, Kathy, just moving forward with innovation, that's really where you want to get to. So what a gift this solution is, truly. So thank
Thank
you
you
for
so much.
sharing it.
Pleasure being here
Great.
today. I really appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Excellent.
Thank you,
Excellent.
Jamie.
Thank you. And then if any of you would like to check out any other partner spotlights, please do so at classlink.com/partner-spotlight. Otherwise, again, Kathy and Brandon, thank you so much for joining, and thank you to all of you. Stay healthy and well. Bye-bye.